If your data come from watching the behavior, asking about the behavior or measuring what the behavior left behind, you are using different measurement sources. Learn the difference fast. For C2, the goal is to tell the difference among direct, indirect, and product measures of behavior. Direct measurement means the behavior being measured is exactly the same behavior that is the focus of the investigation or behavior change program. Indirect measurement means the researcher or practitioner measures a proxy or stand-in for the actual behavior of interest. Product measurement, called measurement by permanent product in the text, means measuring behavior after it has occurred by observing the effects the behavior produced on the environment. Here's the quick version. Direct measurement watches the behavior itself. Indirect measurement uses something different from the behavior and requires an inference. And permanent product measurement looks at a lasting environmental change produced by the behavior. On the exam, listen for whether the observer contacts the actual behavior, a substitute for the behavior, or the product left after the behavior happened. Direct measurement occurs when the behavior measured is exactly the same as the behavior that is the focus of the investigation or behavior change program. The text gives an example of a teacher tallying the number of times a student raises her hand during a class discussion. That is direct because the observer is measuring the actual target response as it occurs. A batting coach can also measure behavior in real time by advancing a handheld counter each time a batter hits a pitch to the right field side of second base. Direct measurement matters because valid measurement in ABA includes measuring directly a socially significant target behavior. It also includes measuring a dimension of the target behavior that is relevant to the question or concern and making sure the data are representative of the behavior under relevant conditions and times. So direct measurement is not just watching something, it is measuring the actual behavior of interest in a way that fits the reason for measurement. Indirect measurement occurs when the researcher or practitioner measures a proxy or stand-in for the actual behavior of interest. A proxy is something used in place of the real target behavior. Indirect measurement gives secondhand or filtered information, and the researcher or practitioner must infer the relationship between the event measured and the actual behavior of interest. Cooper gives two examples: a student's responses to a questionnaire designed to measure socialization with peers, and a student's score on a standardized math achievement test used as an indicator of mastery. Both require an inference about the behavior actually being measured and the behavior of interest. In contrast, a properly constructed test made of math problems from recently covered curriculum content can be a direct measure because it requires no inference about what it means for the student's performance in that curriculum. On the exam, if the data source is a rating scale, questionnaire, or stand-in that requires interpretation, think indirect measurement. The validity of behavioral data is threatened when measurement is indirect, when the wrong dimension of the target behavior is measured, or when the measurement process creates an artifact of the actual events. Indirect measurement threatens validity because it requires inferences about the relation between the data obtained and the actual behavior of interest. In the glossary, Cooper describes indirect measurement as occurring when the behavior measured is in some way different from the behavior of interest and notes that it is considered less valid than direct measurement because those inferences are required. Indirect measurement rarely occurs in applied behavior analysis because meeting the applied dimension of ABA includes targeting and meaningful instrument of socially significant behavior. Sometimes, though, a researcher or practitioner has no direct and reliable access to the behavior of interest and must use indirect measurement. When indirect measurement is used, the researcher must provide evidence that the measured event directly reflects in a reliable and meaningful way something about the behavior for which conclusions will be drawn. Measurement by permanent product means measuring behavior after it has occurred by observing the effects the behavior produced on the environment. A permanent product is a change in the environment produced by behavior that lasts long enough for measurement to take place. Cooper warns that measurement by permanent product is often described incorrectly as a method for measuring behavior. Instead, it refers to the time measurement, meaning after the behavior occurred, and the medium of measurement, meaning the effect of the behavior rather than the behavior itself. Event recording, timing, and time sampling can all be used to measure permanent products. Examples include written, math computations written, spelling words written, worksheets completed, homework assignments turned in, and test questions answered. Other examples include mopping floors, dishwashing, recycling, stealing food, and picking up litter when those behaviors are measured through the changes they make in the environment. Permanent products can be natural or contrived outcomes of behavior. Natural permanent products are important outcomes of socially significant behavior in educational, vocational, domestic, and community environments. Completed worksheet or written spelling words can function as natural products when those products are produced by the behavior being measured. Some socially significant behaviors do not leave natural products in typical environments. The text gives oral reading, sitting with good posture, and repetitive hand flapping as examples of behaviors that leave no natural products in typical environments. Those behaviors can still be measured through contrived permanent products, such as audio recording students reading aloud or video recording sitting in class or hand flapping. Contrived permanent products can also help measure behaviors when natural permanent products are only temporary, such as using photographs of children block constructions or photographs of fingernails in nail biting research. Measurement by permanent product has several advantages. It can free the practitioner for other tasks because the practitioner does not have to observe and record behavior as it occurs. For example, a teacher who audio records student questions, comments, and talkouts can focus on the class discussion instead of recording every response live. Permanent product measurement can also be useful for behaviors that occur at inconvenient or inaccessible times and places. This is especially relevant when the target behavior occurs infrequently across different environments or for extended periods. Measurement from permanent products may also be more accurate, complete, and continuous because an observer can take time, rescore a worksheet, or replay a recording. Video recording can allow the observer to slow down, pause, repeat portions of a session, and examine the behavior repeatedly. Audio or video recordings can also help with inter-observer agreement data and treatment integrity assessment. Not all behaviors are suitable for measurement by permanent product. Some behaviors affect the environment in lasting ways, but those effects may not be reliable enough for measurement. Cooper gives us self-injurious behavior as an example because marks on the skin may show that injury occurred but may not answer how many times SIB occurred, whether some SIB occurred without marks, or whether every mark came from SIB. Behavior suitable for permanent product measurement must meet two rules. Rule 1, each occurrence of the target behavior must produce the same permanent product. Rule 2, the permanent product can be produced only by the target behavior. Marks on the skin fail Rule 1 if some SIB responses leave no marks. Marks on the skin also fail Rule 2 if the marks can be caused by other behaviors or by other people. When selecting a measurement method, Cooper says to consider the behavior change goals, the expected direction of behavior change, how easy it is to detect occurrence of the behavior, the environments and times when behavior will be measured, and the availability and skills of the people who will observe and record behavior. A direct measure is strongest when the behavior of interest can be observed and measured as the actual behavior targeted for analysis or change. A permanent product measure is appropriate when the behavior produces a lasting environmental change and the product meets the two product measurement rules. An indirect measure may be used when the practitioner or researcher does not have direct and reliable access to the behavior of interest, but indirect measurement requires evidence that the measured event reflects the behavior in a reliable and meaningful way. On the exam, the strongest clue is what the data collector actually contacts: the behavior itself, a stand-in for the behavior, or a lasting effect of the behavior. Let's sort examples. If a teacher watches a student during class and tallies every hand raised, that is direct measurement because the behavior measured is the actual behavior of interest. If a practitioner uses a questionnaire score to estimate peer socialization, that is indirect measurement because the questionnaire is a proxy and an inference is required. If a teacher counts completed math problems on a worksheet after the work period ends, that is measurement by permanent product because the behavior is measured after it occurred through an environmental change that lasted long enough to measure. If a researcher uses video of a session to measure hand flapping later, that is a contrived permanent product because the recording creates a product that allows later measurement. The final exam rule is simple. Direct equals actual behavior, indirect equals stand-in plus inference, and product equals behavior's lasting effect on the environment. Let's recap. Direct measurement records the actual behavior of interest. Indirect measurement records a proxy that requires inference, and permanent product measurement records the lasting environmental effect of behavior after it occurs. For C2, sort each example by asking what the observer contacts, the behavior itself, a stand-in for the behavior, or the product left behind by the behavior.